For more on the Russia-Ukraine war, joining us live is a man who spent over 800 days in a Russian prison and was released in the largest prisoner exchange since the Cold War. Russian opposition politician and Pulitzer Prize-winning Vladimir Kara-Murza. Vladimir, thank you for taking time today. Congratulations. I know this must be a surreal time for you, and I want to talk about what it's been like for you. But I want to get first just your reaction to this key bridge taking out and the Ukrainian push into the Russian Kursk region.
Hello, Griffin. It's really good to be back on your program. The last time we spoke was shortly before Vladimir Putin launched his invasion of Ukraine and shortly before my own arrest back home in Moscow. It seems like an eternity ago, so it's really good to be back. Well, look, when Putin invaded Ukraine, the original goal for the Kremlin was to take Kiev in 5 days, right? We all remember that. That's what the top Russian military leadership promised Vladimir Putin, the dictator. He believed it, and that's what happens when you're in power for a quarter of a century, when you've destroyed all the independent media, and when you live in your own sort of propaganda bubble, you actually start believing your own lies. And he sincerely believed that he's going to take Kiev in 5 days. But not only did he not take Kiev in 5 days or in 5 months or in 2.5 years, we actually now are seeing Ukrainian troops on our own territory in Russia. And this is the first time that there are foreign troops on Russian territory, and I mean real, internationally recognized Russian territory, since the Second World War, since Nazi Germany invaded in June 1941. And it is a public humiliation for Vladimir Putin. And, you know, I'm not just a politician, I'm also a historian by education. And if we look at the modern history of Russia, let's say the last couple of centuries, we see that very often failed aggressive wars launched by dictatorial regimes for their own sort of domestic political purposes end up backfiring really badly on them and actually lead to significant windows of opportunity for democratic change, for political opening. Think back to the Crimean War in the middle of the 19th century, which ended in a complete disaster for the Tsarist regime, and it was followed by the greatest period of liberal reforms in the history of Russia under Tsar Alexander II, with the introduction of trial by jury, local elected self-government, the abolition of serfdom, and so on. At the beginning of the 20th century, with the humiliation in the Russo-Japanese War, the defeat for the Russian Empire, that was followed by the introduction of a constitutional monarchy, with the introduction of a parliament, freedom of the press, political pluralism, and so on. And of course, much more recent in our own lifespans, in the 1980s, the defeat of the Soviet system, the communist system, in the Cold War, and much more visibly and much more concretely, the disastrous invasion of Afghanistan, was a major trigger for the collapse of the communist regime and the opening for a democratic Russia in the 1990s. This war of aggression in Ukraine that was launched by Vladimir Putin, you know, he was planning that it would be a triumph for him. It is ending up as a public humiliation. And it is very likely, in my opinion, not so much as a politician, but as a historian, that this will be followed by the collapse of the Putin regime and another window of opportunity, a possibility for a democratic Russia. But for that to happen, Putin must lose the war against Ukraine.
Yes, and you wrote so eloquently in the Washington Post, an op-ed, where you say Russia will be free. Talk about freedom. Let's talk about your story. And I've thought a lot about the 2 years ago that we were together in the studio there in D.C. talking about what became the Ukraine-Russia war, and now the emotion your family must be feeling in the just how surreal your story is, going from 2 years in a Siberian penal colony to just a few days ago in the Oval Office. You met with President Biden, your family there, your wife, who had been there also when she got news that you were being freed. What's going through your mind now that you've had just a little time to reflect on it?
Well, frankly, Griff, for the past 3 weeks, it felt as if I've been watching some kind of a film. It's a very good film, but it still feels totally surreal. I mean, 3 weeks ago, I was still sitting in solitary confinement in my cell in a strict regime prison in Siberia, confident and certain that I would end my days there. And 2 days ago, as you mentioned, I was in the Oval Office thanking personally the President of the United States for the role that the United States government has played in this historic prisoner exchange. And, you know, events like this exchange that happened on August the 1st on the runway of Ankara International Airport, this was the largest East-West prisoner swap since the days of the Cold War. Events like this really prove wrong, those skeptics and those cynics and this sort of constant drumbeat of people who say that all politics is about, expediency and realpolitik, and there's no longer room for values and principles in politics. Events like this prove all these skeptics wrong. Because to me, the main difference between a democracy and a dictatorship is that there can be no higher value in a democracy than human life. And with that exchange that happened on August the 1st, the United States government and the German government and everybody who was involved in this on the Western side, on the side of the free world, saved 16 human lives on one day. And I was grateful to be able to thank the President of the United States personally. In the entire history of the United States, there have only been 4 American presidents, 2 Republicans, Ford and Reagan, and 2 Democrats, Carter and now Biden, who have done this, who have conducted these exchanges with the East, getting prisoners of conscience, getting political prisoners out of the hell of the Soviet or Russian gulag. But let's not forget that while the 16 of us are now free, the 16 of us are now snatched from that hell, there are hundreds and hundreds and thousands who are still left there, Russian political prisoners, Ukrainian prisoners of war, Ukrainian civilian hostages, political prisoners in neighboring Belarus, because, there are 2 dictatorships still left in Europe, Russia under Putin and Belarus under Lukashenko. And we must not relent until all of them are also free and reunited with their families.
And your fight continues, Vladimir. In the time we've got left, and to your point about those that are left behind and those that maybe had a chance to be a part of this deal but didn't get out, Alexei Navalny, tomorrow marks 6 months after his death, the anniversary of his death. There's a number of events planned to mark that. How will you mark it, and what's the message?
The message was given by Alexei Navalny himself in that documentary film in which, he gave an interview just before returning from Germany to Russia back in January 2021. He said, never give up. If this happens, if I'm killed, never give up. And, Putin has now killed 2 opponents. He has now killed 2 major Russian opposition leaders. Boris Nemtsov, a close friend of mine, my mentor, who was murdered on Putin's orders in front of the Kremlin, literally in February of 2015. And now Alexei Navalny in February of this year in the penal colony in the Russian far north. Let's just not forget that the regime we have in the Kremlin today is not just an authoritarian regime. It's not just a dictatorship. It's a regime led by a murderer. But as Boris Nemtsov always believed, as Alexei Navalny always believed, and as I always believed and always will continue to believe, Russia will be free. Russia will be democratic. The arc of history may not bend as fast as we like, but it does bend towards freedom. There's absolutely no question about it. And I'm absolutely confident that the day will come when Russia becomes a normal, peaceful, civilized, democratic country. And I think it is incumbent on all of us, both us in Russian civil society and Russian opposition, but also the leaders of the free world, the leaders of democratic countries, to work together to bring that day just a little bit closer, because that's going to be a very good day for everybody.
Indeed, and you will be on the front lines fighting that fight. Vladimir Kara-Murza, welcome home, and thank you for taking time.
Pleasure to be on your program. Thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.